So for -3 is a phosphate ion, and we're going to be doing a Lewis dot diagram on this phosphate ion. The -3 just stands for 3 additional electrons. Phosphorus has 5 valence electrons and oxygen has 6. We need to come up with the total amount of valence electrons, so we're going to have to add 5 plus 6, and since there are 4 oxygen atoms, we're going to have to multiply this by 4 and then add the 3 additional electrons, and we get 32. And since this is a multiple of 8, that means there are going to be no lone pairs. So we have all of our 4 bonds, and we completed all the octets. And it looks just about right since we do have the right amount of valence electrons, but phosphorus is an expanded octet, meaning it can hold more than 4 bonds. The question is how many bonds? So we want there to be a formal charge of 0. The formal charge is just valence electrons minus the bonds and dots. And since we have no lone pairs, that means we have no dots. So to get to a 0 charge, we're going to have 5 bonds because there are 5 valence electrons. What we're going to do here is we're going to add 1 additional bond by taking 2 valence electrons and adding them here. It's going to look something like this. So, if you're curious to know how the -3 came to be, it's because I got the formal charges for all of the atoms. We already know that phosphorus has 0 formal charges, but how do we know the formal charges of the other oxygen atoms? So we're going to have to get the valence electrons, and we're going to have to subtract it from the bonds and the dots. So here, we already know the valence electrons is 6, and then there are 2 bonds, as you can see, and then 4 valence electrons around it, and we get a total of 0. For this, though, we have a 6 valence electron, and then we have 6 dots around, and we have 1 bond. That means we have -1. And we have another -1 for here, because it's the same, and then another -1. We have 3 -1s. So we got our 3 additional electrons. Moving on, propane, C3H8. Carbon has 4 valence electrons and hydrogen has 1. There are 3 carbon atoms and 8 hydrogen atoms. So we're going to get a total of 20 valence electrons. This is kind of how the Lewis dot diagram is supposed to look like. There is going to be 3 hydrogen atoms surrounding this carbon, as well as here and here. So each hydrogen atom has a single bond with carbon, and each carbon has an octet. So we're pretty good here. So this is pretty much how it's supposed to look like.